When making a basic white bread recipe, you need the following ingredients: a high gluten bread flour, sugar, dry active instant yeast, salt, shortening, or you can substitute this for butter, milk, and water. So in this recipe, the fats that are going to tenderize the dough are going to be the shortening, the milk, and the sugar is going to also be a tenderizer in this dough to make it softer. For this recipe, we're going to follow the straight dough method of mixing. The straight dough method of mixing first has you put any liquids into the bottom of the bowl. We're then going to add the sugar and the yeast into the liquids. The sugar is going to feed the yeast. The liquids are going to reactivate them. We're then going to add any fat that you use. We're going to put the bread flour on top. This creates a barrier on top of the yeast. And then the last thing we're going to add is the salt. The barrier of flour allows you to not worry about having the yeast come in contact with the salt and actually killing it. We're going to start on low speed. This stage of the mixing process is called the pickup stage, so it's all the ingredients are being picked up by the mixer. We're going to turn the speed up a little bit. This stage of the mixing process is called the cleanup stage. It's when the dough starts to knead itself and clean up the sides of the bowl. We're now going to mix for 5 minutes to allow the dough to knead itself. After 5 minutes of kneading on a low speed, a smooth ball should form. We're going to cover this with plastic wrap and let double in size. It should take about an hour. Once the dough doubles in size, you're going to need a scale, a bench scraper, and a sprayed loaf pan. You're going to take your dough, turn it out onto your surface. And we're going to measure out a 1 pound, 4 ounce loaf. Which should be roughly half of your dough ball. So this makes 2 loaves. You're gonna then take your piece of dough, turn it over so all the smaller pieces are on the bottom, facing up, I mean. You're gonna push it down with your fingertips and stretch it out so it's roughly the width of the length of your pan. Once you have it about 1 inch thick, you're going to start folding over the dough onto itself and pushing down to seal the seam. This way you don't have any air pockets. You want it nice and tight and smooth. After 2 folds, you're going to just stretch it out a little bit so it's nice and even. On the third, before you do the third fold, you're going to fold in the ends. Do the third fold. Stretch it out a little bit. Do one last fold so that you have a tight seam. It's going to look like this. At this point, you're now going to roll using your hand right here, giving steady, even pressure so that you end up with a perfect shaped loaf. At this point, it's going to go inside your loaf pan with the seam down. It's now going to double, covered for another hour. Apply an even coat of a basic egg wash to the surface of the loaf. Bake at 350 in the middle rack for 25 minutes.